What's going on, everyone? So, the New Orleans Pelicans, per reports, have had and been fielding calls for CJ McCollum as well as Herb Jones, right? Herb Jones, I think, makes sense with like every team in the league. He's also on a reasonable contract that you could go and acquire. He's still 26, so there's still plenty of room for growth and development. I mean, talking about a legit, sizable, versatile wing, defend essentially 1 through 5 on many nights, right? Guy that can slot in essentially 2 through 4, right? Like, I just think he makes a lot of sense. CJ McCollum, as that scorer, guy that has shown like, hey, he could be the second guy on a night, fit in and be the third guy. I don't really like his contract, but he's a guy that makes a lot of sense, right? He's a guy that has experience. He's a vet, been to a conference finals, right? Like, I can see why teams would want them. But from the Pelicans side of things, right? What do the Pelicans do? Because they are really in a rock in a hard place. They're the worst team in the league, and I don't see it getting better. They have been decimated by injuries. And there is this sort of sense of like, what does this look like healthy? Right? Because going into the season, there was genuine like, this team might be tough, right? They need a center, but if they can get a center, even just like a serviceable one, they might be tough. Because it's like DeJounte Murray, legit, athletic, versatile, point of attack, point guard that can kind of put everything together. You got Herb Jones, sizable 3-and-D wing. You got Troy Murphy, right? Or Trey Murphy that can, again, sizable, versatile, 3-and-D wing. You got Brandon Ingram, again, sizable, versatile scorer, all-star caliber, just bucket getter wing, right? You got Zion Williamson, who before injuries last season against my Lakers looked like the guy we've all been waiting for him to look like. The guy that's just, give me the ball, get out of the way, I'm going to show I'm the best player on the court. And I loved it. I mean, the basketball fan of me loved it. The Laker fan of me was like, can he please stop, right? Like, I didn't want him to go out the way he did. That was really unfortunate, but you saw like the glimpse, and it's like, man, you get that Zion. He lost like 35 pounds, right? It's like, man, you give me that Zion with this group of just sizable, versatile, athletic wings, and then that point guard that can put it together. I mean, imagine the transition, the defense, right? Like, this is a team that may be able to compete. This is a team that finally may be able to see what we've been waiting for them to see. I mean, we've had seasons where they've been the 1 seed, 30 games in or whatever. And it's just every time they just, boom, get decimated by injuries. Now you have the Brandon Ingram mess and, Zion. Zion doesn't want to be there. He can't stay healthy. They have no idea when he's returning, right? You're the worst team in the league. You might as well just go get, a Cooper flag or something like that and just hit the reset button. I understand that there is an argument to like, let's kind of see what we got here. It's not going to work. Look, nobody is going to knock the Pelicans for trying, for making the effort, right? And again, I'm not saying you trade guys just to trade guys. But I do think you kind of look to maybe, hey, you know what? Maybe we should have a fire sale, right? I don't know if you're going to get anything for Brandon Ingram, but at this point, just get whatever you can. I mean, you don't want to take a bad trade. You're almost better off letting his money fall off the books if you're the Pelicans, right? Just kind of like, hey, you know what? We're not going to take on a bunch of bad salary unless you could get picks, right? If you really are going to hit the reset button. Let's say you really do like, hey, let's just have a fire sale. Let's trade everybody, right? Trade DeJounte. I believe he becomes trade eligible on the 15th. Trade DeJounte, trade Herb Jones, trade CJ McCollum, trade, Murphy, right? I'm not sure off the top of my head if he's trade eligible, but at some point, right, whenever you can, look to trade him. Zion, you probably got to wait the season out. Let him just sit out the year. Hey, buddy, get right, get your body right, and then see in the offseason if you can get anything of value from him, right? There are teams in the league that would probably give you something for Zion, like a reasonable something for Zion, just because they want Zion and the money that they would make. There are so many teams in this league that don't really care about winning. Like, they're fine being a bottom-feeding team, and they just want to make as much profit as possible. And if you go bring Zion to this team, even if it's for like 2 years or whatever, they're going to make $1 billion in that time, and they're going to be happy, and they're going to be okay, and they're going to be fine, right? And then there are teams that might actually think like, man, maybe, the Pelicans, you see it all the time. Oh, Pelicans, their athletic department, this, that, and the other, and he doesn't want to be there. If he wants to be here, everyone thinks that they could do better. Right? So you find that team that, hey, you think you could do better. And if they do, and they figure it out, and Zion turns into the guy that they believe that he was, so be it, right? You tried. I get the idea. peak Zion, who has the potential to legitimately be a top 5 guy in this league. He just can't put it together and stay healthy, right? But, if you look at him and it's like, if he could be the guy that you want him to be, and then all the other talent that you have, I mean, even like Jose Alvarado, like you go down the list, this team is just stacked, right? 9, 10 deep, like front end deep, like good talent deep. And it's just like, but they also have a ton of players that a lot of these other teams would love to have, right? Like you could probably get the same amount of value for DeJounte that you traded. What was it? Dyson Daniels, 2 firsts. You probably get 2 firsts and a young player for, I know it hurts that now you traded Dyson Daniels. It's kind of like, but again, you made the push. Like no one blames a team for trying. Again, there's so many teams that don't care. I mean, there's teams that have never even been to a conference finals and NBA finals, nothing, right? Like there's teams that could care less. At least the Pelicans have shown that they care and they want to try to win and they want to try to be competitive and all that, right? I don't believe you can knock a team for that. But you also have to know when it's time to sell. You also have to know when it's time to cut your losses. And you see all the time with these teams, what always happens, they end up cutting their losses far too late, and then it becomes a disaster, and then their rebuild is 3 years behind. Where right now, I think you get a good return for a Herb Jones. I think he'd get a solid return for CJ McCollum, because I do think that there are teams that would love to kind of have his scoring, his playmaking, his versatility, off the bench or in a starting role. I think you'd have teams that would love to get, a Brandon Ingram if it was a reasonable price, or just trade the pieces or whatever, or maybe get off a salary, especially if you're a rebuilding team. Like, hey, we'll give you a first if you take these guys in the salary, and Brandon Ingram's, rather than looking at him as an asset to get something back, look at him as an asset to kind of get off a salary. Again, just hit the reset button for a couple years. Go tank and get Cooper Flagg or any of these guys, right? Like, and there you go. Right, now you're in a position, you got your franchise guy. You can start putting the pieces and building and molding the team around them. Right? You're going to get a bunch of picks and a bunch of assets and get whatever you can for Zion and all that. Maybe you keep Zion in the next season and kind of see, like, can Zion put together a 40-game stretch or 42-game stretch or whatever it is before the trade deadline, and then look, he's healthy, he's good, right? Like, and then there you go, here's Zion. Maybe a team, there's a sucker born every day. Maybe you get that sucker that's just like, yeah, we'll overpay for Zion. Like, and you just get a bunch of assets, get as many young players as you can, get as much young talent as you can, and just see what happens, right? Because, again, what's your other option? Keeping a Brandon Ingram that doesn't want to be there, wants max money, that isn't worth max money, that you're probably just going to lose for nothing. Zion doesn't want to be there, can't stay healthy. You're going to have to trade him at some point anyway. If you trade Zion, maybe, like, the other option would be like, okay, if you trade Zion, maybe Ingram would be more inclined to stay, but then still, it's just like, with the injury history and all that, right, Ingram can, kind of be the guy. But it's like DeJounte Murray, Herb Jones, Brandon Ingram, Troy Murphy, and if you can turn Zion into, like, a legit center, or, like, next season you sign, a Miles Turner or something like that. Okay, like, I think that that's a good team. But is that a contending team? No. Right? Like, and you're not this destination for stars. Like, stars aren't going to be lining up to go to New Orleans. Right? It's just not that. So I just look at it as like, I think you just talk to all your guys. You go, hey, like, we're already terrible. Might as well just tank and get the best draft pick we can in a loaded draft. Get our franchise guy in this loaded draft. Even if you don't get the 1 pick, as long as you get top 5, you got a franchise piece. Maybe even longer, right? Point is, you get your guy that you're building around. You're going to get a bunch of young pieces, a bunch of young talent, a bunch of young players. I just think if you're the Pelicans, I think it's time to hit the reset button. At least explore it. Again, you don't have to trade these guys. If you don't, like, have your asking prices, kind of have your wiggle room, but, like, set your price and just see. Teams buy, beautiful. If they don't, no biggie, right? Like, you still got good talent. You still got nice young guys on this roster. It's just like, you have to pick a direction. If you're the Pelicans, pick a direction. Either you trade and try to go get that guy, or you just stay the course, right? And you just do what you got to do and you rebuild. All right, but anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you think it's, time for Pelicans, have a fire sale, tear it down, rebuild, go get a good draft pick, start the season right? Do you think, no, can't do that, right? Like, got to stay the course, got to do whatever you got to do. I feel whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it either way, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.